What's up, guys? Riley here, back with another episode of the Basketball GM series, rebuilding the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if you guys remember last time, we actually got off to a pretty hot start here, and kind of the process I'm in right now is deciding whether or not to tank, essentially, because this team is sort of in purgatory right now, where they have a primary star in Karl-Anthony Towns. Obviously, they have a few good young players, especially Anthony Edwards, and even like you can still consider D'Angelo Russell almost in that category. He's a max or almost max paid player at this point, so we need to kind of consider whether to start moving the higher paid pieces on and just tear everything down and rebuild, or do we actually go and try to contend this year, because we did start off 5-2. So biggest thing right here to consider too is finance wise, we are going to lose a lot of money this year. We've already lost about 7 million. You can't see it there, but we've lost 7.42 million. So, and that's just through like a week of playing. So we're going to lose a ton of money this year. It's not too much we can do about it, besides the fact that we can move on, these higher paid players. So we're going to have to eat a few contracts as well. I mean, Ricky Rubio's on a 2-year, $17 million deal. It's not ideal, but we're going to have to eat that one. Malik Beasley's on 15 for, it looks like, 4 years. So that's not ideal either. So we need to really start considering whether or not to move on some of these players. So let's keep going on through the season here, though. So obviously we got off to a hot start. We've been scoring like crazy. Only a single game under 100 points so far. Most games 130 plus. So let's see what we can keep doing. We're gonna continue with this lineup here and then look to adjust as necessary. And potentially, if Russell has a great season, we can maybe move him on before the trade deadline, assuming our record is going to fall back down to earth. And you can already see there 147 to 121, so we lose by 26 there and give up 147. This is probably a scoreline or a similar scoreline that we'll probably see a lot of the season, where we give up 130 plus points while still putting up a significant amount of points. It's just our defense isn't going to be good enough. And obviously the story of last episode was probably Anthony Edwards, who had a great start. This game regresses a little bit. 3 for 12, 1 for 6 from 3, 7 points, so not ideal. And we get a few guys off the bench helping us out a little bit, but ultimately, defensively, just not good enough. So let's keep going here. So we'll just go forward a little bit, and you can kind of go at your own pace in this game, which is kind of nice. I mean, I could go forward like I showed you guys last time. I could go forward weeks at a time, months at a time. I'm just going to go game by game, and for the time being, anyways. Of course, if we decide to tank, that'll be a different story. So with this one, we lose 139 to 133. So once again, giving up 130 plus points. This one actually goes to double overtime, so that kind of explains the higher score line a little bit. But like I said, we're probably going to see stuff like this a lot. And as you can see, this is probably going to be the story of our season here. Look at this box score: 38 for Karl-Anthony Towns from 26 shots, 34 from 23 for D'Angelo Russell. And then, to be fair, Anthony Edwards has a pretty efficient night, scoring 20 from 11 shots. But overall, it's going to be those three kind of carrying the load, and then everyone else lagging behind a bit. So maybe we start to take a look at our lineup a little bit here. I mean, it looks like Hernan Gomez has had a decent start, so I've kind of been playing him. But defensively, we might need a little bit more help in the interior. Because Karl-Anthony Towns, like I said last time, that's his real weakness is, defending, especially in the interior, despite the fact that he has so much length. So very interesting to see, that sort of weakness, that side of him, considering he is a star player. But yeah, maybe we need to give him a little help. So let's maybe consider giving Ed Davis some more minutes. I mean, he's got a 58 defensive IQ. Would be a huge upgrade on Hernan Gomez. Another player we can also consider moving out of the lineup is Jarrett Culver, his jump shot's always going to be the biggest issue. 45% from the field so far, 33% from three. So it's about as good as we can expect from him. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's a perennial starter for us in the long run. Once again, I was kind of talking about Jordan McLaughlin, but he's sort of a sneaky player we can use off the bench and maybe potentially start if we end up deciding to trade Russell. As you can see here, our profit is just going into the ground at this point, minus 9.7 million, and that's just going to keep going downwards as the season goes on, because we're spending so much over the salary cap. So not really in a great position right now, the Timberwolves, and it's kind of the angle that we're going to have to progress with is trying to figure out this team's finances. as we go forward, as well as trying to build up a contender eventually. So yeah, I think we're going to keep Culver in for now, just because he's a younger guy. He hasn't been shooting awfully. Obviously, his PR isn't great, but we'll stick him in for now. Defensively, he helps us out a little bit as well. And then Hernan Gomez, I think, is the guy we probably need to look to get out of this lineup. And I think the answer might just be going to two bigs with Ed Davis. So obviously sacrificing a little bit of shooting. But actually, if you look at it here, pretty much everyone else in our lineup can shoot besides Ed Davis. And by shoot, I mean, well, threes specifically. Russell's got a 70. Edwards has been shooting fine, even though he's at a 50. 31% from three, though, but he's obviously more of a slasher. So we're not too worried about that. And then obviously Ed Davis with a 3 overall from 3, which is not great. And then Carlton Towns with a 69. So we have a decent enough shooting team where I think we can get away with two bigs. We'll see if Ed Davis helps out defensively at all. If not, then we'll look to adjust again. But I mean, if you look at what we just allowed there, that's 3 straight games allowing 115 plus, 2 straight allowing 130 plus. So I think we need to change something here. And actually, Boston has been using two bigs this year, and we do get a win against Boston, so it's a good start with the Ed Davis experiment. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Boston does not use. They actually went small in this game, to be fair. Tristan Thompson was their lone big. They have been using Tice and Thompson this season, and also bringing on Robert Williams off the bench, but they opted just for the Tristan Thompson at the lone 5 there. And then for us, Ed Davis, I mean, a steady contributor. He starts, gives us 11 minutes, scores 6 points, a couple of rebounds. I mean, can't really ask for much more than that. And then it looks like McDaniels came off the bench for a few minutes, filling those 4 minutes. I think Layman can probably play the 4 a little bit as well. So kind of just splitting up that 4 kind of equally amongst the bench. Jaden McDaniels getting a few as well. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all we can really ask for from Ed Davis at this point. I mean, the only thing that sucks about him is that we're paying him. What are we paying him? $5 million. I guess it's not terrible, and it's only on a one-year deal. So we'll use him while we have him. He's only 47 overall, but I think he helps us out, gives us a little bit more balance defensively, and we'll see if we can continue winning with him here. But if not, otherwise we'll move on and look to experiment with someone else, maybe giving McDaniels a few more minutes. But I mean, look at that, 2 straight wins with Ed Davis in the lineup as we go to 7-4 in the season. So once again, like, it's really hard to just pull the plug and tank at this point when we are winning, maybe not consistently, but beating some solid teams here. We just beat Boston, now beating a 5-6 Houston team, and once again, Ed Davis gives us about 10 minutes, no points, but like just +8, plus minus there. Just cover us defensively a little bit, especially in the paint, and against a team with they're playing small ball at this point too. Because they're not starting Cousins, but if Ed Davis and Cousins, I like that matchup a little bit more than Cousins on Cat. So let's keep going here. We're going to stick with Ed Davis and see if we can get another win, and wow, we do. So this is becoming really interesting now because we're 8-4. I mean, obviously it's still early, but if we can, it's once again, it's another solid win, and we only allowed 92. So since the Davis change. So before that, previous 2 games, we allowed 147, 139. Keep in mind, one of those games was double overtime. And then the 3 games since then, we've allowed 112, 106, and 92. And 92 against a very good Clippers team. So I'm assuming that Davis probably would have picked up Ibaka. And keep in mind, like, this is a simulation, so it's not like they're actually, playing against each other. or like the actual structure of the game is even being simulated. But to keep it realistic, to keep the immersion, we'll pretend that these games are, actually going down, like the matchups are really going down here. I'm not really sure to the extent of how the matchups affects the simulation, but, for immersion's sake, we'll keep them in. And once again, we kind of love this from Ed Davis at this point, putting up a great stat line here of 0 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. But once again, he's +7, plays about 12 minutes, and then we get some of the other guys in. Jake Layman's been playing, McDaniels once again, Hernan Gomez, and even Naz Reid gets some minutes here, so it's good to see. We'll look at the actual state of the lineup here. Like, I don't even mind this that much, crazily enough. Russell, Edwards, Culver, Davis, and Towns we're going to stick with for now. Ricky Rubio's been going pretty crazy off the bench, so good to see that. Same with Malik Beasley, putting up about 13, which is, I like it. I mean, that's all I can really expect from him. Jordan McLaughlin's helping out a little bit. Layman's been playing a decent amount too, 15 per game. I'm not really sure what he normally plays. Let's see, but yeah, obviously Hernan Gomez getting a significant a significant decrease in minutes since his benching. But yeah, it looks like he played about 22 last season, so still a decent amount of minutes for Layman. We'll keep playing here though. Moving on to Portland, coming against Nurkic and Lillard. I wonder who's injured here. It looks like somebody's got to be injured. We put up 97, so offensively maybe faltering a little bit since the change, but defensively, allowing 109 against the Trailblazers. It's not the worst number in the world. Zach Collins is injured, okay, so that makes sense. So I think he's injured in real life as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so decent performance there. But at the end of the day, a loss to the Trailblazers. So now we come up against Houston again. Let's keep moving here, and we get another win, 128-118. Beasley's out injured. I'm not really sure if we change anything there. I think we probably just end up giving Okogie more minutes. So we'll probably just put him on the plus there for this next game. He'll be the main 2/3 off the bench. But looking at this game, Oladipo, wow, and Wood really carried. Same with John Wall, but then everyone else kind of faltered for the Rockets. And we did shut down DeMarcus Cousins to 6 points. So if that's at all due to Ed Davis, despite the fact that he played 8 minutes or 9 minutes. I'll take it. Wow, so Cat put up 42. Okay, so we're going to keep moving on here, but another solid performance from the guys. Of course, Cat is continuing to carry. He might be in the MVP running at this point if he continues this, but I mean, I don't really think it's sustainable. 31, 12, and 3 assists. Let's see what that is compared to average for him. I know we looked at this last time, but yeah, I mean, he's never put up 30 plus in a season before, which, had he actually done that would have been pretty shocking. But let's move on here. We have the Kings up next, so we're going to keep plugging away. 118-110. Obviously, looking at the PERs here, Culver and Davis are significantly worse than everyone else in the starting lineup. But when it comes to defensive balance, I think they are kind of providing that for us. And we don't really have too many other players that really want to be playing at the 3 at this point besides Culver. So I think we're just going to keep playing him there and hope that he progresses this season from the amount of time he's getting. So 118-110, another loss. We're up to 9-6, or down to 9-6 rather. 31 for Towns again, 18 for Russell, 23 for Russell. So Edwards has actually been really impressive. He's been kind of carrying the offensive load when it comes to that 2 spot. Obviously has had some help from Malik Beasley off the bench. Okogie putting up 13 in this one, so helping out a little bit too. But let's keep moving on. So another loss there. And if it gets to a point where we start just losing, that's probably when we pull the plug on D'Angelo Russell and just start to shop him around a little bit. Another loss there to Philadelphia. I think Beasley's injury not really helping us out all that much. So let's take a look at these last 2 now. So we put up 91 against Philly, not a great number there. I'm kind of curious to see how good Philly is in this game at this point. Their record anyways, 10-7, so about even with us. But yeah, it looks like our bench kind of faltering without Malik Beasley. He does provide a nice addition of shooting. I mean, off the bench, looking at those numbers there, pretty solid ratings for him. But overall, I lost there. And moving on to Phoenix, we do win at 109-106. And let's see, I kind of want to look at these center matchups here because I think prior that's kind of where we were getting burned defensively. But Ayton, very efficient day, but only putting up 16. Booker, of course, is going to be scoring no matter what. But yeah, I mean, you can be pretty happy with that. And Ed Davis is just plugging away here. I really like this Ed Davis dynamic, averaging 0.9 a game right now from 8 starts, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, looking at his numbers start his career, it's kind of how it's been. I mean, not that bad, but he is shooting. Let's see what he's shooting from the field, 36%. So it's kind of brutal. Offensively, it's brutal. Defensively, well, let's see here. Defensive box plus minus, minus 0.7. So not great, but it's going to be better than whoever else replaces him. And then when it comes to, let's see, defensive win shares 0.1. So we'll have to keep an eye on that number. I don't see this Ed Davis experiment lasting all that much longer, considering how bad he's playing offensively. But if we continue to win here, I'm going to keep him in the lineup. 98-95, another 3-point win. So we're 11-7 now. Looking at that profit, it's brutal. And the longer we keep Russell and Cat together, the longer that this team is just going to continuously lose money. 18 for Hernan Gomez off the bench, so I like to see that. I think he's more of a bench energy player than a starter anyways. Davis scores 2 points, so his average for the season is going to skyrocket there. Culver putting up 13, not too bad. So yeah, we'll keep moving from this. 30 from Cat. Can't really expect anything else at this point, considering how well he has played. So I mean, we're 11-7. Let's check the standings. 18 games in now. Sheesh, and we currently have the 3rd seed. So I mean, at this point, we can't tank. It looks like everyone else is having sort of a slow start. The Warriors 9-10. Sort of realistic. I'd say the Clippers and the Jazz are still very hot right now in real life. The Pelicans 14-4 under Van Gundy. Very interesting there. Looks like Brandon Ingram is blossoming into finally blossoming into that star that I've kind of been hoping to see. You know, a few of my friends anyways, have always kind of been high on him. And yeah, it's good to see him, blossoming there. 28.7 right now. I wonder how sustainable that is. But let's move on here. So Ed Davis, once again, he's getting us wins. Maybe not by himself, but for the 8 minutes that he starts, he's been getting us wins. We do allow 133 to Washington, which if that were the case in real life, that would be a little sad. Washington, probably the worst team in the league at this point, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, wow. So this game they're starting pretty hot though, 10-9. We get a lot of bench help. Layman 22, Hernan Gomez 10, Kogi 12. I think Beasley's back as well. He put up 10, so we can take Kogi off the extra minutes there. But it looks like Cat got hurt in the middle of the game, or towards the end of the game anyways. Probably, having something to do with the bad result. So let's see here. Taking a look at the lineup, I'm going to keep it with Davis, Culver, Edwards, Russell, and Towns for now. Beasley and Rubio will be the bench guys, along with Kogi coming off. He'll probably play more of a 2/3 role as well. McDaniel's not having a great start to life in the NBA, but he's got a lot of room to grow. Layman putting up decent numbers, but at the end of the day, 7.0 PER, so I don't love that. Just take a look at the free agents here and see if we can get anyone that can help us out. Gerald Green, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really too high on him at this point in his career, but maybe if we need just looking for more of a 3. And it doesn't seem like there's too many options out there right now. Michael Beasley, but I don't really want to touch him at this point. So, yeah, we'll probably just leave it for now. And we can only sign minimum guys anyways due to the payroll situation. And let's keep moving to the this Utah game, 11-8 now. We are 4-point underdogs, and we lose by 6, 127-121. I think the Ed Davis experiment might be coming to an end pretty soon here, but yeah, let's take a look at the stats here. So Edwards is doing just fine. If Edwards keeps playing like this, we're going to be in a good spot in a few years anyways, assuming I can pull the strings everywhere else. Ed Davis puts up 7. That might be a season high for him. Not even joking. Beasley, Rubio. So Davis put up 20 minutes and a -5, so it's not great. Hernan Gomez is playing pretty decent off the bench at this point, so we can kind of consider pulling the plug pretty soon on that. Let's just reorder the subs a little bit as well. So Layman's been playing a bit more. He's really the lone 3 that we have. Hernan Gomez has been playing a bit more as well. And then McLaughlin's been playing a decent amount. So I think McDaniels is slowly moving himself down the bench at this point. It doesn't seem like he's quite league ready yet. Coming up against the Spurs, we were 4.5-point favorites and we lose by 2. So that's not a good result. So now it's starting to fall apart a little bit. As you can see, 3 straight losses. We've lost 5 of our last 7. And this is a 2-point loss against the Spurs, which looked like a pretty tight game throughout. Back and forth, it looks like. Rudy Gay putting up 28. So Russell with 37. I mean, I think his stock's going to be decently high, but with his contract, with his ratings, I don't know if we're going to be able to get rid of him. 14 for Towns. Wow, that's interesting. He only put up 22 minutes. Maybe we should just stick him on the more playing time piece as well, just to make sure he's playing. Only 22 minutes from Towns is kind of strange there, but I think we give Davis another go. But it's been 15 games now. He's played 15 games anyways. He started probably about 12. And his PER is 5.4. and it's just offensively, it's just a bit brutal. So let's go one more here against Memphis. See if we can sneak out a win. If we do, a 2-point win, but I'm not sure if that's going to convince me to keep Davis in the lineup. And keep in mind, this is all just due to, theoretical defensive stability. I'm not really sure how much the actual matchups play into the simulation part of this game, but there we go. Well, so now we put Towns on more minutes, and he plays 43, which is almost double what he played last game, and he scores 37. So that's more of what I want to see from him. Russell puts up 24 from 24 shots. Edwards, quiet game. Davis with 2, but +7 once again. So maybe he's hanging on. Maybe we play him another one here. Let's keep giving him chances here. Let's keep giving Davis chances. So we move on to Orlando, and we win by 7. So our record's still hanging on at 13-10. And once again, like if you looked at the standings, like I just showed a few minutes ago, it looks like everyone's starting off pretty slow. Hernan Gomez helps out a little bit off the bench. There we go. Towns is playing 38 minutes in this one. Probably one of his slower games this year, but a win is a win. And Davis puts up 6 with a +10. So we're going to keep him out there for now. We're going to hold on to Davis in the lineup. I would have never expected to get this many starts. He might get more starts than he's ever had in his career for this team. But yeah, if it's working, it's working. Let's see, 117, 108. So Washington is starting pretty solidly in this game. Obviously, like I said, in real life, it's been very much a struggle for them with their new backcourt pairing of Westbrook and Beal. Just hasn't quite really worked out. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Beal move on pretty soon. I think he kind of deserves it at this point, considering the season he's having. I feel like you have to probably move him on, clear cap, and try to build something around Westbrook, I guess. I think that trade was a bit of a mishap in the first place. Looking at this game here, we lose by 9 again to the Wizards, though. Beal putting up 29. And, wow, Avdiha helping out off the bench a lot. Looks like he has been... it's been a bit of a slow start for him, but 20 off the bench against us. Ed Davis putting up 2 points in 10 minutes, so a bit of a quiet one for him. At the end of the day, though, he is only playing 10 minutes. He's kind of starting and then getting sort of like what happened a lot in the playoffs this past season. If you guys remember, sometimes the Lakers would start a Dwight Howard or start a JaVale McGee and play him for 5-10 minutes, and then he'd be off the court. Just due to managing the different matchups. So 7-point favorites here against Orlando. Let's see if we can get a win here. They play a bit of a big lineup, and it does, wow, so 87-72. That was probably a brutal game to watch. Had it played out in real life. Looking at the actual output here, Orlando's playing pretty big with Gordon, Amino, Vucevic, Fournier, and Terrence Ross. So no real point, but I guess Fournier is probably playing point, or at least the ball handler in this scenario. I guess Fultz is out for the season, I've forgotten, and Isaac is as well. So they're in a bit of a tough spot right now. Looking at our team here, 17 rebounds for Towns, pretty solid game. He puts up a double-double, 20 from Russell. Wow, slow game from Edwards, but we managed to pull this one out. 15 off the bench from Beasley, and he looks like he might have been the difference here. Davis starts 9 minutes, no points, assist or rebound, but a win is a win, so we're going to keep him in. Keep going here with this Davis experiment. We do lose by 13 to the Knicks, in which we were favored to win by 11. So that's a bit of a tough loss for us, 14-12, but we're still contending. It seems like a ton of teams are in the mix right now that you wouldn't really expect to be. Remember, this season is shortened as well. Culver, Edwards rebounds, though, with 22, Russell 19, Towns with 24. So the guys that you would expect to score are scoring, and then the guys like Culver and Davis not contributing as much. But let's reevaluate Davis's defensive metrics here, because that's kind of what we're going for, obviously, with starting him in the first place. From the field, his field goal percentage has increased, but not to a point where I'd love to be starting him. Yeah, look at that, offensive box plus minus and minus 4.2. Defensively, he hasn't been outstanding either. And let's maybe take a look and see Hernan Gomez just to see a comparison here. Obviously, his numbers have dropped off majorly from last season, but he only played 14 games. so he has been playing more games this season. But looking at his defensive numbers, there's a, you can tell there's a difference though. Minus 1.6 defensively, but obviously much better offensively. So yeah, I guess we're gonna keep it for now. I mean, I never expected to be starting Ed Davis in the series, but here we are. So he's already, well, I was about to say he's almost equaled his highest game started total. That's 24. He did that twice, so he might get that this season. And we're still kind of measuring out the trade market at this point, looking at the standings. We're in 5th place now. We're a game and a half in the playoffs. I think once we start to venture outside of, when we're like 3-4 games outside the playoffs, that's when we consider trading him. And if it's tighter than that at the trade deadline, then it's going to be a pretty tough decision. All right, so on to the next game against New Orleans, who started off really hot. They must be missing players because we are 4-point favorites, but we actually lose by 2, so we have sort of hit a rough patch right now. Let's take a look at the actual stats of this game, see who the Pelicans are missing. They were missing Zion. Okay, so that makes sense. That explains the betting line there. Beasley's been good off the bench this season. Layman gets us 10. Who else? Culver, not a great game, but we're going to keep playing him here. It's really our only option there that I like. Don't really want to be starting Jake Layman in the starting 5 anyway. So yeah, let's move on. We got Brooklyn next. Play a few more here. Probably go another week, and then we'll reevaluate and then kind of decide where to go from here. 138 to 105 against the Nets. They've been doing pretty well. They're 19 and 10. So Durant puts up 31. Looking at our team, Karl-Anthony Towns. So whenever we put up a ton of points, it seems to be that Towns is scoring big, and he is obviously going to be our main facilitator offensively. But Russell hasn't been bad this season at all. So I'm kind of hoping that helps his trade stock rather. Culver puts up 23. That's got to be his season high. We can check that in a second. And Davis plays 14. Then we get some nice bench points from Okogie, Rubio, and Beasley. So let's take a look at Culver. I think that was a season high. So good for him, even if it wasn't. Yep, 23 season high. He did put up 26 last season, so it wasn't his career high, but that's it's positive to see from Culver. He's actually now above 10 PER, which is good. Good to see there. And yeah, let's keep going here. We got 7.5 point underdogs against Toronto, and we are 15 and 13. So we are still very much in this playoff conversation. With about about a third of the way through the season at this point. All right, let's see this one here. Toronto is a 5-point loss. We're getting closer and closer to 500. I mean, I was kind of predicting a much bigger drop-off than we've actually had, though. We haven't really had a catastrophic drop-off yet, and I think a lot of that is just down to how well Karl-Anthony Towns is playing. I mean, he's got to be somewhat in the MVP race at this point. Let's check the statistical leaders. I think that was actually statistical feats, yeah. Let's see, it should be league leaders. Here it is. Yeah, see where he is in relation to everyone else. So points, he's 3rd. Rebounds, he's 5th. Free throw percentage, Beasley is 2nd. That's an interesting stat there. Didn't know that about Beasley. Estimated wins added, he's 5th. So he's probably going to be outside of the actual MVP race. But when it comes to an All-Star appearance and also an All-NBA selection, I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. He is within the top 10 of a lot of the major overall metrics. Defensively, obviously, he won't be within range there at all. But yeah, 8-point favorites against OKC now. This would be a big win, and we do win this one at 126 to 118. So through 30 games, we are 16 and 14. I think we're going to play 5 more. We'll get up to 35, and then call it there. I think the season is 72 games, so that'll be about the halfway point. 35, maybe we just do 36. I can't remember if it is 72 or 76, but either way, we'll be close to the halfway point there. Once again, Beasley's helping us out a bunch from the bench. Okogie helps us out there. 30 from Towns, and yeah, 6 minutes from Davis helps us out a little bit. We've been winning with him, so we will keep plugging away here. So half-point underdogs against the Jazz. So we'll be playing. We'll do 5 more and finish on 35 games played. So 10-point loss to the Jazz. I'm just going to skip over that one here. Keep plugging away. 1 point favorites against the Magic, and we win by a significant amount there. So that's good to see. 19-point win against the Magic. Once again, though, whenever we're winning big, it seems to be that Towns is putting up, 30 plus and just dominating these games. The Magic are having a brutal start. I was about to say that Ed Davis hit a 3, but no, he didn't. He just scored or he just had a 2-pointer and an and one essentially. So 3 points for Davis though, 11 for Beasley. He's been helping us out a lot, which is consistently. I feel like I keep saying that, which has been good. He's been putting up 12 so far, 12 games so far. Rubio's been putting up 6.5 points, but 7 assists actually, which is really nice. I mean, his contract isn't great, but we'll take that contribution. And if he leads us to the playoffs, wouldn't that just be something to see Rubio in the playoffs with the Timberwolves? So right now we're hanging on to that 5th seed. 2 games in, we'll play 3 more games and then call it a day, and sort of just evaluate and doing like an end of episode evaluation of where the team's at. Obviously, we've gone through a significant number of games. 7-point loss to the Spurs. Maybe we end up making a trade at the end of this episode too, or at least exploring and starting to just check the market of not Beasley, Russell at this point. But maybe even Beasley though. Beasley might be worth a shout because he's going to be a bench. I mean, he's not, unfortunately, defensively, he's not good enough to justify me starting him at this point. He's only 24 still, so he can progress. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not like he's a Trae Young where he's such a good scorer that he justifies you playing him so much. Considering his lack of defensive ability. But at the end of the day, if he does progress, he will probably be starting at some point in this series, considering the contract we have him on. So 6-point win against the Warriors. The Warriors are having a very tough start, and so that's a playoff. That's a solid, win against another playoff contender, just outside playoff contender in the Warriors. Towns putting up 30 plus again. Edwards putting up 18. This is kind of the formula though at this point. We need Russell, Edwards, and Towns to be the main scorers here, and then we need Beasley coming off the bench to provide a little bit of punch there. He's been shooting pretty well this season, and he's sort of the main option at this point off the bench. And then once again, Davis starts, gives us a solid 8 to 12 minutes, helps us at the start of the game anyways win more of a matchup related defensive battle, and then gets off the court and lets Hernan Gomez take things over from there. So yeah, let's play this last game. We won't do it live. We'll just simulate it, and then we'll check out where we're at. So 2-point underdogs against Chicago, and we lose by 7. So finishing at this roughly halfway point, we are 18-17, just above 500, but far better than I expected at the start of the season. Once again, Beasley leading the bench scoring. Rubio's out for 2 games, so we'll have to manage that. Actually, probably 1 game. Levine puts up 36 against us. Solid game there. So, wow, Ed Davis with 8 as well. Is that his season high? Let's see. Though. 8 points for Davis from 10 minutes. Of course, we'll take that. Where is his? Yeah, that is his season high. Nice. So, well, he's still plugging away. Fair play to him. And let's take a look at the rest of the team now. So, we're 18-17. Actually, let's take a look at the standings first. I want to see where we're at in relation to what would basically be the 9th seed. So yeah, a game and a half in right now over the Mavericks. The Nuggets and Mavericks and Warriors are all going to be coming for those playoff spots. I mean, the Pelicans being this good is kind of surprising, but I guess Brandon Ingram's having an outstanding season, so can sort of justify that. The Jazz being good is very similar to reality. The Lakers having a much slower start than in real life. But of course, the Timberwolves we're going to be the main overperformers out of everyone right now. Spurs kind of playing similar to real life in this one. They've been playing pretty good this season. But yeah, lots of teams having a slower start. The Warriors, Nuggets, and Mavericks. I guess the Mavericks have had a slow start in real life as well, but specifically the Nuggets and Warriors having a slower start than you'd expect. And the Rockets not even in. Actually, the Suns, I didn't even see this one. The Suns are 10-24. Wow. So they have really not performed expectations despite the solid squad they have overall. Frank Kaminsky's actually been having some pretty good games lately, which is kind of funny to see there. But yeah, wow. So they're not even in the picture. So we are very much in the picture though, so that begs the question: do we really want to start to tear things down now? And I don't really think that's the answer. But let's just take a look and see what D'Angelo Russell would demand right now, and it looks like we could probably finagle a pick for him, but it doesn't seem like many players. Wow, the Warriors want to trade. See, so this is one of the things that's a little broken about this game is the trading. I mean, the actual process isn't the greatest because like you can basically just put players in the block and then teams respond and then you can do it over and over again. And you know it's a little broken. It's probably the part of this game that is the least realistic. See, like look at this, like the Nets offering Durant and a first rounder for D'Angelo Russell. It's not realistic. It's just gonna be hard to manage the actual cap sort of the situation. So yeah, we basically have to take a player on a roughly similar contract to Russell, who hopefully his contract expires within the next year or two, and then we kind of just eat that contract and then tank and hope to also get a pick along with it or something like that. And looking at this selection, it doesn't look like we are. See, like Michael Porter Jr., this would, you know, obviously Denver would never offer Michael Porter Jr. in a trade like this. So this is the one part of the game that's lacking a little bit, but I'll make sure to only accept realistic trades. And what you can do is just ask again, and then it kind of regenerates offers. But right now it's looking like it's going to be pretty tough to trade him, and I don't know if I really want to. Another player that would definitely be trade bait would be Malik Beasley at this point on a much more friendly contract. A year younger, but still, you know, scoring pretty well off the bench. I think, you know, that there was probably teams out there that would be interested in starting him. So definitely a player to consider trading as well if we really start to hit the gut. You know, our record really starts to drop. But at this point, we're 18-17. We're the 5th seed. We're going to keep going for this thing. We're going to keep starting Ed Davis. And yeah, we're going to try to go for a playoff berth at this point. I mean, I wasn't really expecting this. We started off 5-2, of course, but yeah, 18-17. It's a solid start. I mean, Towns is carrying us. Let's be honest, and Edwards is putting up some solid numbers as well. So that's gonna be it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will probably be back with this series again pretty soon. But like I always kind of say, you know, let me know if you guys like this or if you guys don't really want to see this again. Then, you know, just comment below. Let me know, and then I'll, you know, reevaluate the series in general. But from where it is right now, I really like filming this. So. I will definitely look forward to, you know, putting up a new episode again soon. So thank you guys for tuning in today, and I'll see you guys later.